The Ice Maiden. We call her the Ice Maiden, right?
That's President Trump's nickname of choice for his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, whose successful captaining of his 2024 campaign earned her a reputation of leading with a calm demeanor, but also a resolute poise, respected among Trump's closest allies. Wiles, the first woman ever to hold the powerful post. But under this president, she'll face another challenge, keeping her job for a full term, something her predecessors from Trump admin 1.0 failed to do. Wiles' ascension comes after a long career steering powerful men to elected office, at the sides of mayors in Jacksonville, Florida, and running the gubernatorial campaigns for Rick Scott and later Ron DeSantis. Back in 2015, Donald Trump was still just a long-shot candidate for president, so he turned to Wiles for help in winning Florida, which he did. Once Trump was in the White House, a revolving door of chiefs of staff. The first, Reince Priebus, holding the role for one of the shortest stints in American history. The second, John Kelly, a former Marine Corps general. Kelly clashing behind closed doors with the president, resigning after just over a year in the role, later lashing out at his former boss, comparing him to a dictator. OMB Director Mick Mulvaney was next, but just in an acting capacity, until Mr. Trump settled on Congressman Mark Meadows to close out his first term. Meadows would go on to be indicted along with Mr. Trump down in Fulton County, Georgia, as part of alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. Meadows pled not guilty while the prosecution remains in limbo. In November 2022, Trump turned to his fellow Floridian to take the helm of his comeback campaign, leading the latest White House bid as a co-campaign manager. Wiles navigated the Trump team through assassination attempts, a change at the top of the Democratic ticket, in multiple criminal cases, also avoiding the kind of leadership turnover that plagued not just the first administration, but the first two campaigns. Wiles didn't respond to our request for comment for this story. Trump trying to give her the undesired spotlight on election night.
Susie, come, Susie, come. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you.
And just days later, announcing she had the job, crediting her with helping achieve one of the greatest political victories in American history. But the question remains, can the woman nicknamed the Ice Maiden keep 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue operating smoothly? Or will her chief of staff tenure face similar fates as the men before her?
And Vaughn joins me now. You know, Vaughn, it's interesting. I had a conversation with an official in the previous Trump administration who shall remain nameless when I asked about Susie Wiles and whether or not she'd run a tight ship. This former administration official said there's no such thing as a tight ship in a Donald Trump administration. And when you add Elon Musk to the combination here, I mean, he's really shaping up to be quite a wild card. I mean, could that be a clash with him and Susie Wiles?
The amount of power, Ryan, you're right that he has amounted here is quite incredible across agencies and departments. And this is where, sort of campaign manager Susie Wiles was going to be met with different dynamics than chief of staff Susie Wiles. Because why so many allies of Donald Trump appreciated her atop the campaign was because she didn't seek to block access from them to the principal, Donald Trump, during the campaign. And Donald Trump was happy with her because he was able to talk to whoever he wanted, whenever. And that's where people respected her power. But this go around at the White House, it's different because it's not just having the ear of the president, but it is also access to power over the departments and agencies. And that is where I think in these months ahead, we're going to see really Susie Wiles be challenged on that front and the extent to which she continues to hold the president of the United States at the Oval Office while others are making big impacts in their own ways.
Even though we may not hear a word from her because she remains behind the scenes, very much so. Vaughn Hilliard, great report. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.